This chart tracks the price of Brent crude oil over the last 24 hours. Yesterday morning, it sat at $117 a barrel. By evening, it dropped to $92, a 20% collapse in a single day. At the exact same time, Dow futures jumped over 900 points, and Asian markets opened green for the first time in weeks. All of this sudden, massive market movement happened for one specific reason. Two countries that had been bombing each other for 39 straight days decided at the absolute last minute to stop. But the relief is masking a much harsher reality. This ceasefire did not fix the global economy, it only hit pause on the destruction. 6 weeks of intense conflict broke major structural components of the world's financial system, and those fractures remain entirely intact today. The crisis began on February 28, 2026. The US and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury against Iran. Within 24 hours, the Iranian military retaliated by closing the Strait of Hormuz. This is a narrow strip of water in the Middle East, but it acts as the primary artery for global energy. Every single day, 20% of the world's entire oil supply passes through this exact location. Shutting down this single geographical choke point immediately severed the global supply chain. The resulting pressure moved instantly from local energy markets outward, forcing failures across every interconnected sector of the international economy. This line graph shows the direct result of that closure. When the bombing started, Brent crude was trading near $70 a barrel. By the peak of the crisis yesterday, it hit $117. That is a 67% vertical spike in just 39 days. To find a market shock of similar severity, you have to look all the way back to the 1973 Arab oil embargo, an event that triggered a massive global recession. According to the International Energy Agency, the past 6 weeks represent the largest oil supply disruption ever recorded in history. The chokehold on the strait was compounded by direct military strikes. Iran hit Qatar's Ras Laffan complex, the largest liquefied natural gas facility on Earth, wiping out 17% of their export capacity. Israeli forces struck Iran's South Pars field, taking an estimated 85% of their petrochemical exports offline. Before the conflict, 130 ships transited the strait every day. By early April, that average fell to fewer than 6. Between the destroyed infrastructure and the paralyzed shipping lanes, 12 million barrels of oil per day simply vanished from global markets. The physical supply chain was broken. The financial reaction was immediate and punishing. In America, the Dow Jones dropped more than 10% from its all-time high. The Magnificent Seven tech stocks, companies like Apple, Nvidia, and Microsoft, fell an average of 8% as a group. Because their total market capitalizations are measured in the tens of trillions, that single percentage drop erased trillions of dollars in shareholder value. But the deepest cuts happened in Asia. South Korea's Kospi index dropped 12% in a single session, triggering emergency circuit breakers. Pakistan's KSE 100 recorded its steepest daily decline in history, losing over 16,000 points. The panic quickly bled into government debt. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield, which dictates borrowing costs across the American economy, jumped to 4.46%, hitting its highest level since July 2025. That rising yield translated directly into consumer pain. Average 30-year mortgage rates climbed to 6.38%. Meanwhile, at the pump, U.S. gas prices spiked from roughly $3 to $4.14 a gallon. A local family looking to buy a home or drive to work suddenly faced hundreds of dollars in extra monthly costs. A missile strike thousands of miles away forced global inflation expectations higher, penalizing domestic savings and borrowing regardless of local economic health. The damage expanded rapidly through secondary supply chains. 1/3 of the world's fertilizer exports moved through the strait, pushing urea prices up 50%. Tungsten, a critical material for semiconductors, surged 50% after China restricted exports amid the chaos. Aluminum rose 8%. The physical disruptions were severe. The Philippines declared a national energy emergency, forcing government employees onto a 4-day workweek. Bangladesh ordered universities to close early and shopping centers to shut off their lights by 8 p.m. just to conserve power. This timeline reveals a highly suspicious trade identified by the Financial Times. Exactly 15 minutes before Donald Trump posted a statement in late March announcing a pause in attacks, $580 million in short positions were placed, betting against the price of oil. Whoever made those bets profited massively the moment the statement went live. The sheer volume of money moving around this conflict is staggering. The Pentagon requested $200 billion to sustain military operations. Regional Arab nations absorbed an estimated $120 billion in economic hits, and physical infrastructure damage across the Gulf is projected at $25 billion. The massive scale and raw speed of these compounded damages created a highly volatile environment. Entire national economies or bleeding capital, leaving the global market highly exposed to sudden manipulation and massive concentrated financial bets. On the evening of April 7th, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif publicly posted a request directed simultaneously at U.S. leadership and Iranian officials, asking for a 2-week extension to allow diplomacy to run its course. Based on discussions with Sharif and Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, Donald Trump agreed to suspend the bombing for 2 weeks. The core condition: Iran had to guarantee the immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran accepted within hours. The market reaction was immediate and historic. WTI crude oil collapsed from $117 down to $92.60, the steepest one-day price drop in nearly 6 years. S&P 500 futures rose 1.6%, and the heavily battered Asian tech indexes rebounded sharply. A single social media exchange and an agreement to talk managed to temporarily erase weeks of panic from the trading boards. Investors priced in immediate relief, choosing to look past the physical destruction. But the terms required for an actual peace deal are miles apart. Iran's demands include total U.S. military withdrawal from the region, war reparations, and continued control over the strait. Traders on Wall Street are already shorthanding the situation with the acronym TACO. Trump always chickens out, betting that these deadlines are flexible and no permanent agreement is coming. Formal talks begin this Friday in Islamabad. Two sides that have not trusted each other since the 1979 Islamic Revolution will sit at a table in Pakistan and try to find a resolution to a conflict that killed over 3,400 people. The baseline economic costs remain stubbornly high. WTI crude is still up approximately 30% from where it sat before the war. European natural gas prices are 61% higher. According to Qatar energy executives, fixing the Ras Laffan LNG complex will take 3 to 5 years. A 2-week diplomatic pause does not rebuild a shattered petrochemical plant. It does not clear a massive shipping backlog instantly, and it does not magically pull fertilizer prices back down. The physical capacity to produce and transport energy cannot be restored with a handshake. The war has cost the global economy hundreds of billions of dollars, creating permanent scars in the supply chain. The upcoming talks will dictate whether this current market relief holds, but the financial devastation is already locked in. The guns have paused. The damage has not.